just got on YouTube. This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the fourth album by rock band Good Charlotte. Basically, this product is called Good Morning Revival. Basically, this product is called Good Morning Revival, and it came out in the spring of 2007. So the thing about this particular product here is they took a little bit longer of a break between this particular album and their previous album, The Chronicles of Life and Death from 2004. That was a good type pitch. It's been a little while since I reviewed that one. I did purchase like The Chronicles of Life and Death, their third album from 2004. But I did back in the fall of 2024 also review their 2000 album, which I think was called simply Good Charlotte, as far as this pitch can happen. Now that was a basic romp, just some MTV type staple type stuff from the pitch. What I remember from it, I need to purchase that one. But at least like the Young and I think it's either the Young and the Restless or the Young and the Hopeless from 2002, which was a huge smash, had 4 singles on there, and then the Chronicles of Life and Death, which was a good look for 2004, a little bit quieter, but still has some good pitches on there. This is probably one of their most commercial albums. This has a lot of good funk about it and just good dance pop and dance punk type oriented type stuff. Just real commercial grabs pitches like that. Probably the most like vanilla in terms of the sense. I mean, it still has that emo type pitch, but it's just basically like emo pop, I would have to say, here within the pitch behind it. Just bringing more emo to like the mainstream, similar to what Avril Lavigne was doing with her 2007 album Best Damn Thing, some of those type pitches. This is probably like the girth of like the most mainstream appeal. Now within the fare behind it, I still think the singles from The Young and the Hopeless from 2002 were a little bit more widespread. That just a little bit more kind of angsty type appeal within the pitch in terms of like the chart success. When you think of songs like Lifestyles, The Rich and the Famous, and Girls and Boys, and some of those type pitches that they particularly had back in those days, and there were some other ones. I'm just gonna look those up. The Anthem, some of those type ones within those pitches, but it's the same pitch with like the Chronicles of Life and Death. That had like a particular like top 15, top 20 type single from what I remember, like the Chronicles of Life and Death. I need to re-listen to that album a lot more. I remember giving that a pretty high score within the pitch, but this album's going to get a classic score, full bound. I do own this album. I bought it from like, I think like a yard sale or something like that back in the day. I don't remember how I obtained this particular product. It may have been from like a local retail store. I don't remember it's full bound, but this an album I kind of had floating around since even as far back as like the mid 2010s when I first started this channel. As far as this pitch kind of happened, I just never got around to this one, but definitely should have just with the pitch. I recommend every song out of all 13 on here, so it's easy enough. Going to get a 10 out of 10 just with the pitch. It's really connect with this particular appeal. I feel like this is probably easily one of Good Charlotte's best, although nowadays, even despite the fact that the Chronicles Life and Death I reviewed just back in March of 2024, I'd probably say I'd probably like that album a lot more than I did back then. And it's probably the same thing with like the concept of The Young and the Hopeless from 2002, which I reviewed back in like the fall of 2022. So it's just within the pitch as far as saying just within the concept. I look after it just within the tone that both those albums I probably like more, but this is an easy kind of full bound kind of success. Once again, not as full bound chart appeal, but it's just more vanilla and more casual. The concept behind it, they basically copied like the similar type template that Fall Out Boy had around this time in 2007. If you like songs like Thanks for the Memories, some of those type pitches from that particular type appeal, I like the emo pop type era. That was kind of the emo pop type era. Folks like Fall Out Boy and AFI, some of those particular type folks that were popular fall of 2006, early 2007, even Avril Lavigne, some of that particular type era, just very poignant around that time, just nails it particularly well. It's a good type pitch. So yeah, this easy kind of classic album. This would have to say within a pitch. So just very similar. I forget the name of like the Fall Out Boy 2007 album that came out, but it's just within the pitch has very much similarities to that. They go a little bit more hand in hand with those particular folks around this particular time. Good Charlotte and Fall Out Boy are pretty damn similar within the pitch. It's like a good 1-2 punch, like Coke and Pepsi as far as what's first going to happen just within the pitch, compared to how Good Charlotte was in like the early 2000s when they were more similar to folks like Blink-182. Now Blink-182 was not around in like the late 2000s. They kind of disappeared after like 2003 or early 2005, or just maybe not early 2005, but just after like approximately the year 2005, they just were gone for like the second half of the second half of the 2000s, and at least till 2011 was within the pitch as far as saying that Good Charlotte and Fall Out Boy had some similarities. So it's good type pitch. They were definitely like a banner emo staple as far as this pitch can happen. Probably one of the front runners for emo rap. Probably one of the front runners for emo and alternative rock as far as this first going to happen like the mid-late 2000s. I'd also say probably in there was Panic at the Disco, who was popping around that time, but they kind of switched their style up in 2008. But this was the pitch. So basically 5 singles off this project, just to say within the flair behind it. Once again, I recommend every song on here, so this album gets a 10 out of 10. So just to say, The River's a nice one. This is the lead single, but there were 2 songs that hit like top 40 on the Billboard 100. Once again, it's about the approximate type feel of like the vibe of Young and the Hopeless from 2002. Just didn't have four of these. The two largest songs off this album was basically The River and Dance Floor Anthem, both of which were top 40 within the pitch. Big deal in the United States and Australia as far as those fairs going to happen. Keep Your Hands Off My Girl is a pretty good buzz single, but that one just kind of charted more on like the rock charts. I'm going to check the yeah, that was just more of like a buzz single. But basically, The River was like a good initial kind of evening venue embrace to kind of get. The River was like a good initial kind of evening venue embrace to kind of get here. Just get your groove on. Definitely, I had to say about this one, just a dance sparker. I'd had to say a good song to bass to as far as those fairs going to happen. So it's this good type pitch. Just some initial kickoff as far as those fairs going to happen. Just kind of the concept of this, like the concepts of this initial, just some good initial kickoff as far as those fairs going to happen. Entering the dance floor within those particular type moments of just entry type fair. Just the concept of just like a place where you'd hear songs like Paralyzer and some of those type ones. I forget who did that particular song, but folks, some of those initial kind of Wingstop and Nachos type places where you'd hear songs like Paralyzer by Finger 11 and Take Me Out by Franz Ferdinand, some of those type pitches, just kind of initial kind of alternative rock type one within some of those type pitches to be able to get that good type embrace of it. This really just has like that, just reeks of like that. It kind of has like that mid-late 2000s type feel within this alternative emo rock type staple within the pitch, but this is definitely the more vanilla-esque type stuff behind it. So, the thing about Good Charlotte on this particular album is this, they kind of passed the wayside kind of the concept of like their more kind of summery type frolic type pitches. There are at least a couple of those songs on here like that, but it's just within the pitch that this has more kind of neo sheen kind of dance hop within. There's a good several songs that have like a particular more social step out within the pitch, just not quite as teenage and not quite as MTV bound and angsty within the pitch behind this. And the concept, a lot of this is not quite as much romping and just kind of more neighborhood, just strolls, pitches like that, more burrito and snack runs, some of that type area. Just not to say like it doesn't have that, but it's just within the pitches, going to venues and getting your flirt on as far as those fairs going to happen, just being more out and about and just kind of within the concept of getting some drinks in your system. So it's good type tones. Do like the concept, but it's kind of the appeal that it just is within the pitch that these songs are good, but just in terms of like the frolic of just like a summer hop when you think of some of those type folks. There was someone that I reviewed, I forget who it was, I reviewed them back in July of 2024, and they had like a song called like, I don't remember, I'll probably put them in the connotation, but I think it was like All Time Low, but it wasn't them. I don't know, this review could take like the next 40 minutes, me trying to remember who it was, but it was someone I reviewed in like the summer of 2024 that was kind of alternative like this, and there's folks like that, like, I would say like Papa Roach, and then trap some of those type folks in like a punk rock type sense. But just folks like Blink-182, some of those type fairs. But just look after this like a good type staple, kind of get some dance sparking going within the pitch. A good bass song, a good bass type song kind of get within those fairs. So Keep Your Hands Off My Girl is the second single. This is a nice one here. It's like a buzzing kind of dance club commotion. And I had to say just a good alternative heat. I feel like about this one here, just a pretty crowdy type song kind of get within those pitches. So just kind of more amidst like the fog of just like particular night embrace as far as those pitches can happen. Just three singles just like that have like the social type aspects to just step out within that particular appeal. Or I feel like the Chronicles of Life and Death, there was a particular single off that particular album which I'm going to see, I'll probably remember it when I look after it. I think it was like I Just Want to Live. Predictable and I Just Want to Live were more house party type numbers. I do definitely remember I Just Want to Live. That was like a real good house party kind of red cup type music within the pitch. This particular album doesn't have as much red cup type music this time, but it is within the pitch. It is going out to bar hopping pitches like that, some dance floor, some of those type pitches. So it's just within the tone, but this is just a little bit more of like a more kind of crowded type one, just a little bit more festive within the pitch, just more large commotions. I'd say a good type one for that particular pitch. Dance Floor Anthem's probably the most popular song off this album, I'd have to say, according to Spotify, and one of the largest ones in terms of the chart appeal. Both The River and Dance Floor Anthem were like the 1-2 punch, like I was saying, good type pitch. These were like some good emo rock type staples back in like the mid-late 2000s. So Dance Floor Anthem's like a lively kind of breath of relief amongst like a balmy kind of dance night. I'd have to say here, just some vanilla appeal about this one. There's kind of a pitch, something that Blood on the Dance Floor would kind of do. This is kind of like an early primer for some of that particular type style when you think of folks like Cobra Starship and some of those type ones that are kind of doing that particular vibe. There's some other ones I'm trying to think of by Candace Full Bound. Fall Out Boy was kind of like this, but they were just Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco were kind of like this, but they were just a little bit more electrified. This is like a real vanilla type one, just a basic kind of ambience within the pitch behind it. Not quite as ferocious. I feel like the singles off this product had some spice about it, but there's definitely more alternative and emo rock and electronica, folks like Jeffree Star and Blood on the Dance Floor, Broken Side, some of those type of folks that really took this particular edge factor. This is probably one of the most vanilla kind of emo pop type songs I can think of within the pitch behind it. A little bit more so than even Panic at the Disco, just in the pitch. This is like a real good example, like a starting point. This would be a good gateway type band to kind of get within the pitch, like some emo rock as far as what's first going to happen. If you're within like the emo type pitch, but you need something that's just more radio ready type appeal within the concept, just something that has a little bit more user friendliness just right off the bat. It's a good type one. This is probably one of the huger type ones. Now, this did not hit like top 5, this was not like a top 5, top 15 type single on the charts, but still top 25 for like a rock song. It's a pretty big deal within the pitch behind it in terms of the Billboard 100. So it's a good type one, good gateway type song. And a simplistic vanilla type appeal within this particular song. So good type pitch. Misery is a nice fourth single as well. It's like an evening kind of city outing jazz kind of get here. Just some day hop, I'd feel like, within the pitch behind it. Just restaurant and shopping type music, I had to say about the tone. Just strip mall pitches like that. Some day activities, simple kind of errand running pitches like that. And this like a vintage kind of good Charlotte as far as those fairs can have. So this is more taking it back to like the definitely 2002. Not so much 2000 from what I remember about that one. That was just kind of like a initial kind of punk forming of like emo and pitches like that. But I would have to say it definitely reminds me of like Young and the Hopeless, Good Charlotte from 2002, and to a lesser extent the Chronicles of Life and Death from 2004. Just residential bound within the pitch, just some city hop, just the sort of stuff that Panic at the Disco would kind of do with their restaurant type music, some of that type fare. It's kind of almost like date evening type music within the pitch, just kind of within the concept, but just a little bit more kind of a little bit more busy and preoccupied with just in the pitch as far as saying that just typical romping within the town within it. And then the fifth single is Where Would We Be Now? Basically this concept is like a tugging kind of rainy pop rock makeshift to kind of get here, just a real talk and sobering type song, kind of get within those pitches, just some day hop vibes as far as those fairs going to happen. So it's basically like one of those type ones like Hold On, just not quite as like optimistic within the pitch behind it. It's just kind of one that just is like a real talk type song within the pitch, or just like something to just have like a little bit more driven kind of upkeep just within the pitch behind it. Just more typical kind of makeshift type format and like a more blue collar type sense, like a typical kind of day push as far as those fairs going to happen. Just more typical kind of Where Would We Be Now is just more typical kind of day hop kind of Target type music, just in the aspect, just in its particular tone, and just like usual kind of embrace within the fairs behind it. So it's just good type tone for some of that compared to most of these songs. I mean, for the most part, in terms of like a more blue collar, just kind of workaday type format, this is probably the one that just has the most typical type format, and it does it like within an emo sense. So it's a good type song, get an emo type flair about this. So it's just kind of getting like some emo type songs within a more vanilla type sense. Good radio grab within the pitch. The song did not chart, which is unfortunate enough within the pitch. It had a good enough jangle to be able to do it, but it's just kind of the concept that it was an attempted fifth single over a year after the album particularly came out. It was just within the pitch. It is a good makeshift kind of radio grab. Don't know how commonly it charted on like the radio charts, but it's just within the appeal. It's just as far as saying that it's a good, nice one. So it's some makeshift type balladry within the pitch behind it. Good type tones. So yeah, I just look after it here. So I recommend every song on here, including the intro. So I'll go ahead and talk about the intro. Now the intro is actually an almost song. It's like some solid morning dew to kind of get here. Just a glazed kind of eye booger emo kind of, just like some glazed kind of eye booger type music. Just woke up within the pitch behind it. Just that morning embrace that I'd say, just kind of an emo embracive day as far as those first can happen. So I just look after it here. It's kind of real simmering type one. Some of those type pitches, more of like songs like Beautiful Place and March On, which those are some real nice ones. Some of the best songs in the album in terms of like the more simmering kind of either sunrise or sunset gazing within the pitch behind it. Just kind of a concept like a dewy out type one within the pitch. Just a good concept of just embarking and getting towards like the concept like some day outing fare, but it's just kind of concept. It is kind of more sunny within the pitch compared to most of the album's more glazed factor about it, but it's just a good type pitch, kind of get some of that type tone. If you're not in a more morning pep type mode, the thing about the pep about this particular song, if you're not in a more morning pep type mode, it just doesn't have as much full bound kind ofness about it. So it's just kind of an almost song, just the ofteness of whether or not you're in the mood for going out and marching on and getting on with the day as far as this pitch can happen. So if you're not, it's not as quite hitting, but it's kind of within the pitch. But there are a lot of ones on here like Break Her. So ones on here like March On is one of the best songs on this particular album. I'd say it's like a vintage kind of moody emo ballad to kind of get here. Good emo ballad stretch. Just a good example of down in the dumps type songs kind of get within the pitch behind it. Good Charlotte was pretty good at these songs in the past. They had usual songs like this, just typical kind of emo crooning within the aspect behind it, and just a good song to carry on to as far as those first going to happen. So just good aspect here. Just like songs like Hold On, but just kind of the opposite of that. Just, I mean, it's it just does it as a better variation, like a song like Hope. A song like March On does is like a better variation of like a song like Hold On as far as those first gonna happen. Just the optimistic type fare, it has the same trudging along type pitch within it, but just nails within a particular vibe, just having a little bit more ambience about it. Just the glaze type factor is just more simmering and connecting, I'd say. Good type concept, be able to get some of that type of appeal. So it's just good type pitch, just that moody factor. They really managed to market like the particular concept of making like the emo moodiness that was really reaching like an apex around this time, just marketing it real well, making it with more vanilla snaps. So it's a good example of that. Some of these just connect a little bit better. It's good, just better, just has more electricity with like the ambience that you feel from like their moodiness. Good type concept. Beautiful Place, another one that's just like that. It's like a dreary kind of slow dance and day drifting kind of get here. Just a good combo with March On it, I'd say, and just another emo hit. Good type of field. So these are just some nice ones just in the pitch of that particular type fare. Just really has a good aspect being able to nail some of these type moments. It's more down tempo type moments just within the pitch. It is typical type format. Joel and Benji Matter and some pretty good folks that doing that particular vibe. It's just kind of the concept. I mean, yeah, there's romping songs in here which we're going to get to, but it's just a good concept to have for some of these down tempo type moments because the Chronicles of Life and Death had some of those type ones from what I remember. Some good type pitches for that. So all Black is a quality one. This is like a day after hours kind of commerce kind of get here. Just a good scuzzy relief from like a long day. I'd have to say about this one. Just a good song to grab a cold beer to and just kind of a primer within the pitch. So it's just kind of the concept about this particular one. This is pretty similar to like the 2002 days. This within the pitch is something a little bit more saturated within the tone as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just a good aspect for something of like the relative concept of this that kind of a makeshift unwind pretty much would go within songs like Where Would We Be Now and some of those type pitches I had to say within it. Just kind of the concept of like, it's not quite as rainy day just within the concept, but just like, you know, getting through the tasks like standard day, but just within the pitch as far as like, alright, time to switch to flip mode, kind of within the concept of like, it's kind of the excitement. So this is kind of a good type of excitement of just getting towards the concept of this being done with like a typical kind of day within a more just scuzzy and frustrating type fashion. Get to something like some good times. So just kind of a conduit type song within those pitches. Is what I'd say. Victims of Love is a quality one as well. These are some further dance between Victims of Love and Break Apart Her Heart. Like some good nice ones kind of get within those pitches like some dance floor type appeals. Victims of Love is like a snazzy kind of alternative rock dance jingle kind of get here just made. Basically it was made crisply vanilla, I'd have to say, within the pitch behind this very harrowing type one kind of get within the pitch. So just that typical kind of dramatic type format just feels like just a little bit more preoccupied just in the pitch behind it, I had to say about this one. And the concept goes hand in hand with songs like The River and like Keep Your Hands Off My Girl, Dance Floor Anthem, some of those type pitches just within the tone, but just kind of one where it's just like, you know, just maybe some leftover work isn't finished within some of those type pitches, or maybe you're just kind of pissed off with something prior in the day, something within that particular type tone, just preoccupied with the sense, even with bells nearby, just within the pitch, just kind of the concept. It's a good concept for some of that type fare, just kind of here in one spot, but in another spot at the same time. So it's just good type pitch for some of that type tones, good type aspect for that. Then Break Apart Her Heart's a nice one that goes along with that as well, as like a woozy and blurry. Songs like a woozy and blurry kind of autumn brush kind of get here. Just reminds of like 2004, Good Charlotte, I'd say within the pitch. Just more residential bound within the concept. Good neighborhood romp kind of get here. So just the pitch like some October, September type music within the pitch about it. Just kind of, I mean, this is also a pretty good dance floor type song. I look within the pitch behind it. So Break Apart Her Heart is just one of those type concepts that works pretty well within the pitch of just like usual brush of just like that particular type fare. Just a little bit more seasoned within the same pitch, just pretty much within the same tones like the 2004 album. Just kind of that relatively kind of just bristled out kind of aspect to like autumn type fare within the pitch behind. Just something that you would have caught in like the 2004 album by Good Charlotte. Just same sort of pitch, just more neighborhood romps, but also works as a pretty good kind of jazzy kind of dance floor stepper as far as this pitch. Kind of a good foot tap and just overall bounce about that one. So it's a good type social vibe about that one as well, but it also feels localized. Good type pitch for that. Broken Hearts Parade is more vintage kind of Good Charlotte here. It's like an evening romp, I'd have to say. This one definitely reminds me of like Blink-182 from like the early 2000s pitch like that. Just some punk, definitely like some punk kind of day frolic on here, I'd have to say, in particular. Good summer hop to kind of get. So just within the vintage sense of more 2002 and minor senses 2004 kind of Good Charlotte, and definitely like the traces of like Enema, the Steak type, and Take Off Your Pants and Jacket type tones from Blink-182, some of those type pitches within the tone behind it. This album is really not that punk, considering the concept that Good Charlotte started off as punk within those pitches between the 2000 and 2002 albums, just within the pitch as far as saying it's just kind of within the fare that it doesn't have as many type frolic type ones that feel more romping type music. I mean, there are some ones on here, but it's just kind of within a more kind of wintry and just kind of autumn type aspect within. It's not quite as much summer like Heat of June, Heat of July, some of those type pitches within the tone behind as far as those aspects going to go, but it's just within the pitch that's definitely more the 2002 album, lesser extent the 2004 album, but it's just within the pitch that you do get some of those moments on here, but they're just a little bit more Just a little bit more brush. They're just a little bit more brushy and bristled as far as this first gonna happen. It's a good type pitch, but then I would also say there's another song like Something Else is just like that within that pitch as well. It's like an evening glaze kind of residential romp. I'd have to say in Town Hop. I'd feel like about this good Town Hop frog to kind of get here. Just good song, grab like a box of beer and pizza, some of those type fares. Just within the tradition behind it, a little bit more simmering with this. It's not quite just a miss like the fury of it, but just kind of the concept, but just like a typical kind of routine type evening within the pitch. Nothing real crazy where you're gonna have like 3 kegs of beer and a bunch of beer punks and those type pitches, just like a real ferocious type night, but just probably like a good unwind, just typical maybe playing simple Guitar Hero, watching Pulp Fiction, simple kind of mild get together within the pitch, just an aspect of it, just typical kind of box of beer, just movie night pitches like that. Grab like some Dominoes, some of those type fares, just within the pitch, just evening glaze kind of stuff, just within the pitch, residential type fare, just within the concept, just some of those type ones that just feels like a more kind of down low key type version, like the stuff that was off that you would do with the Good Charlotte from 2002 2004, but just not quite as much the furor of like the Red Cup type craze like the 2004 album, but good type pitch. So yeah, I look after here. I think I talked about every song on here as far as what's fair is going to happen. So I think that virtually takes care of it. So this album gets a 10 out of 10 just within those aspects, just within the tone behind it. I think I talked about everyone. Just trying to think if there's anything else. 10 out of 10 score. The social score I'll probably give like a 10 out of 10 as well, just in the pitch. I mean, it's just impactful within the pitch behind it. This is a very vanilla kind of emo album. Just nailed the aspect of bringing alternative to like the forefront. I mean, maybe it didn't have like the top 10, top 5, top 3 type singles within the pitch behind it, but it definitely had some pretty good appeal. At least 2 songs off this product had over 100 million plays on Spotify, so it was attempting it. Definitely got pretty close. Was a pretty big deal around that particular time, like the alternative and rock chart, some of that particular type of appeal. Just basically did the same stuff as like the 2004, 2002 albums. They were getting usually at least 1 or 2 hits off of each album that were crossover, so it's a good type pitch that just had that particular type of appeal. I don't know if their 2010 album had the same appeal of like the 04, 02, and 07 albums, but it's just in the pitch that they did do a lot of jobs within that, and it's the same thing with the year 2000 album that had some good kickoffs. So Good Charlotte in 2000s was definitely the shit as far as those first going to happen. Did a lot of things right just in the aspects as far as particularly nailing those vibes. So it's just within the tone as far as saying they basically carried out the decade, managed to stick around and have those aspects of just nailing these particular vibes. So they definitely like some good banner kind of emo and just alternative rock type champs within the pitch behind it. Good staples that made it past like the MTV era and just continued to do that for a good while. It's just within the pitch, but they did kind of take a break after like their 2010 album. For some reason they weren't there in 2011, 2013, 2015, some of those type eras. They didn't come back until 2016. It was just in the pitch as far as getting this here. So I just look after within the tone, but we'll get to the 2010 album down the road as far as this first gonna happen. I look after it, but yeah, so the social score, just these dynamite type ones. At least half the album has like these dance floor type songs within the pitch. Like I was saying about the social score, good dance type appeals, like a little bit of like the romping and like a more glazed and bristle type sense. This is like kind of like mildly moving past it, but still having enough on here to have like some of that within a relative type sense. Just minor kind of snack run and just more pitches, neighborhood romps, pitches like that. But just kind of the concept of just going with like the more social embrace and just a little bit more step out, and it definitely does within like a banner kind of vanilla emo type sense. It's a good type pitch, a little bit of makeshift on here within a certain sense, a little bit of moody kind of emo type songs for like that good factor, just having your heart on your sleeve like they're known for, and they nail that vibe as well. So just the down tempo type songs, the more soul type songs work pretty well. But just within the pitch as far as saying, so in terms of the future, like Good Charlotte has not been around since the summer of 2018, so there's really only 3 more albums by them to get to, maybe like an EP or something like that. I don't know, it's full bound, but there's a few more. I want to get to these definitely, but this is a classic here, simple enough to see, just kind of an emo mid-late 2000s delight, I'd have to say.